Not be because I told you to. You see? See, when I talk about the 8 limbs, this will not be today, but when I do, I'll say that the 8 limbs, the first of the limb is Yama, and the first of the Yamas is something called Ahimsa, which we were spoken about yesterday, right? Which is the spiritual rule that says, do not hurt anything and do not cause suffering. And then the 8th limb, so that's the first of the first limb, the first one is Ahimsa. And the 8th limb itself is Samadhi, which is self-realization, which is bliss, right? But it's more than that. It's a deeper connection to all that there is in the world and the earth and the universe. It's just connected. It's a complete integration, right? So Samadhi is that. And here's what they say. What they say is that you cannot fully realize Ahimsa until after Samadhi. Okay, and that's a very powerful truth. In other words, you'll understand intellectually what I'm saying, sitting from where you're sitting, from the vantage point of where you're sitting, and yes, okay, God, that makes so much sense, and yes, I understand this intellectual concept of Ahimsa, and yeah, I got it, and okay, I'm not going to eat meat anymore, I'm going to make it a point. And then you're going to see a chicken sandwich and you're going to be tempted and you're going to wonder, well, why am I really doing this? And because you're doing it for your intellectualization and from a place where you're trying to, you know, live according to principles that you don't quite understand yet. Okay? After Samadhi, Ahimsa becomes something that is so deeply ingrained within you that you couldn't possibly violate it. It's like, it's not even possible. It's like you couldn't even think about it. It's not that you had to do effort and be disciplined about it and like try really hard because you have to be a good yoga teacher. No. It's that when you realize that all life is sacred, that means something to you, and that you're unwilling to not see that ever. You understand? Once you see that, you're not willing to take your eye off of that fact. It's always true that all life is sacred, not just sometimes. It's always true. So this idea of eating in a way that is not violating Ahimsa is so obvious. It's just a joke. I mean, of course. It's like, what? I had to even try? No, I didn't even have to try. This is so obviously easy, because it's just so absolute, you know what I mean? So that's the difference. So at this point, Ahimsa now, you're learning it as something intellectual to study and to maybe practice. At some point very soon, you're going to realize the sacredness of all that there is. When you do, Ahimsa will mean something else entirely, something deeper. Something that has nothing to do with your brain and everything to do with an intelligence within you and a connection to higher intelligence. Okay? Makes sense? So, until then, relax. Don't try too hard. Yeah? Practice, 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 practice. When I transitioned my diet, the way that I did it was just through practice. I did 1 week, and I ate raw food for 1 week. And I promised myself that at the end of the week, I was going to eat something that wasn't raw. I demanded it. I knew it. I wasn't even asking. I said, I know that after the week's over, I'm eating this piece of bread. Period. And I did it. And then I ate whatever the heck I wanted on purpose. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to do another week. Bam, do another week. At the end of the week, I know what I'm going to do. And you know what? Now I'm going to go 2 weeks. Okay? At the end of the 2 weeks, I know I'm going to eat whatever, something else that I'm doing it on purpose. I'm just training. It's like training, you know, like training. Like I'm getting ready to run a longer race, I'm training, all for fun. And then eventually, I just stopped thinking about it. It just became a natural thing for me, and I didn't really have to do it anymore. Does that make sense? But the whole process of transformation was one of fun and unfoldment and scientific experiment, like what I was saying yesterday, and not discipline or effort or struggle. Okay? Let it be as effortless as possible. Don't worry. Your intelligence will emerge sooner or later. The more yoga you do, the sooner. The more green stuff you drink, the sooner. As I said, one day, that day will arrive when you'll be looking at the menu of the Italian restaurant and you used to order spaghetti and meatballs, and that day you're going to look at the menu and you're going to, you know what, I'll have the pasta marinara sauce, please. It's just going to be a logical thing. You're not going to have to try really hard. Yeah? Right.
One thing that, you know, like living in Miami can help you like develop compassion, you know, for animals. One thing I did with my little girl, which I raised as a vegetarian, is we'd go to the marina and watch people fishing, and when they come out, you know, when the fish come out and you see it suffering, and you relate to its suffering, and you watch it suffocating to death in front of you, it's a pretty intense experience.
Absolutely.
I mean, when I go and see people fishing, I gotta walk away because I just can't. I don't want to put my judgment, but I can't. I feel it.
I understand.
So, you know, it's a way of like getting in touch with what's happening to, you know, on the spiritual side to these.
Absolutely. I mean, anytime you've seen a fish out of water,